Shalom Israel. Before I start, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Bahat, Rakal, Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles in Israel who really teach well, to the Akim, to the highways and byways, and those pushing this word in true sincerity, to the brothers and sisters in the truth. Now, a lot of us, well, everyone should have heard really of what's happened of late with Israel attacking Iran. But also now what's happened, you've got the US who's actually joined in and got themselves involved, which we know that they're working behind the scenes anyway, because Israel wouldn't be able to do what they did without the backing of the West, especially the USA. You know, we're supplying them with weapons whilst they've been destroying Gaza and whilst they've been bombing Iran. Now what we're seeing is just something playing out which has been in the pipeline a long time. And we know when it comes to the US, they have a habit of meddling in other people's business, trying to take the resources of other lands by creating coups or through war. You know, one of the latest that I can think of is Iraq, where Gordon Brown, he was the prime minister over there for a short period of time after Tony Blair. You know, he came out and said, we now know that the Pentagon knew that there was no weapons of mass destruction. What they wanted was regime change. And what we're seeing now is plans that's been in the pipeline for a long time playing out. So the pretense of going to war with Iran, or the current pretense, is this. It says, Israel says Iran was racing towards a nuclear weapon. US intel says it was years away. So Israel is saying they're racing towards it. The US intel is saying it's years away. When Israel launched its series of strikes against Iran last week, it also issued a number of dire warnings about the country's nuclear program, suggesting Iran was fast approaching a point of no return in its quest to obtain nuclear weapons, and that the strikes were necessary to preempt the outcome. It says, but US intelligence assessments had reached a different conclusion. Not only was Iran not actively pursuing a nuclear weapon, it was also up to 3 years away from being able to produce and deliver one to a target of his choosing, Slovakia, according to 4 people familiar with the assessment. Another senior US official told CNN that Iran is about as close as you can get before building a nuclear weapon. If Iran wanted one, they have all the things they need. And these are the narratives that they're pushing to justify going to war with Iran. Now, this here, I just want to play a few snippets from this. It says Russia and Algeria warns US and Israel, leave Iran now or else. But there's a few things that they mentioned which shows the hypocrisy of what's going on now. So let me play this clip here. Blimey. All right, here we go.
Any misleading narrative is unacceptable. As Director General Grossi stated.
And this is what we're seeing, you know, the narrative of them being able to set up nuclear weapons or vastly approaching is a misleading narrative. And I'm going to show you how long this narrative has been going on. So let me drop this back a bit.
As Director General is unacceptable. Any misleading narrative is unacceptable. As Director General Grossi stated in an interview with CNN. We, the IEA, did not have any proof of a systematic effort to move into a nuclear weapon.
Now, don't that sound a bit like what happened with Iraq? They were saying how they've got weapons of mass destruction and so on and so forth. The inspectors went in, found none, and then the narrative changed to freeing the Iraqi people from Saddam's oppressive regime. So we ain't seen nothing new. You know, the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. So let me jump forward a bit.
By
Oh Lord.
So in terms
Slovakia.
The latest blood glucose.
Come on, why are you giving me double flipping ads?
peaceful means. End of quote. Madam President, international humanitarian law is clear. Nuclear power plant enjoy specific protection and shall not be made the object of attack.
So you see, what they're doing is actually legal under international law. But as we know, the West, especially America, always do what they want. When it comes to laws, they seem to be above the laws, but want to hold everybody else to these laws. And like I was saying, the only reason why Israel could attack Iran in this manner is because they've got the backing of the West, especially the US.
End of quote. Madam President, international humanitarian law is clear. Nuclear power plant enjoy specific protection and shall not be made the object of attack. Attacks against such facilities are prohibited.
And I remember recently when Iran attacked Israel, you know, when they fired back in their defense of what had happened to them, they hit a hospital. And the Israeli was saying, oh, how despicable it is for them to have attacked an hospital. But then when you look at Gaza, they've destroyed every single hospital in Gaza, and that didn't seem to be a problem.
If there remains a risk of radioactive material spreading from the impacted facilities, the potential danger extends well beyond borders.
Yeah, and they don't really care about that. Like I said, there's always an underlying reason for them doing what they're doing. Go to next time stamp.
East, a tragic precedent occurred of an invasion into a state under the pretext of alleged presence there of WMDs, which subsequently failed to mature.
See, now he's speaking about what happened in Iraq. Like I was saying earlier on, that was a pretense, or one of the pretenses that they used to go over there, weapons of mass destruction.
It's a pity that the United States, which demonstrated to the entire world this discredited example in 2003, which generated suffering for millions of people, does not wish to learn from its own mistakes. Today, the US, yet again, together with the UK, France, and Germany, is attempting to persuade all parties to believe the groundless fabrications about plans allegedly harbored by Tehran to gain possession of nuclear weapons. Nor can we forget the fact that the attack on Iran was carried out at the time when the entire world observed with horror the ongoing man-made disaster which was unfolding in Gaza and continues to unfold in Gaza, and was condemned the ongoing humanitarian blockade of the Strip, and was awaiting the high-level conference in support of the two-state formula under the aegis of the United Nations in accordance with...
That's the hypocrisy of it. Like, we've seen what they've done over in Gaza, and nothing isn't really being done about it. But then, we're having some kind of indignation that Iran apparently trying to make nuclear weapons, when really and truly, when you look at it, there's only one nation that's actually used a nuclear weapon twice over against another country. So the pretense of going into war is that, Israel says Iran was racing towards a nuclear weapon. Now, I want to play this clip here.
What happened with Iran? Weren't we about to make a nuclear deal? Wasn't our deal maker in chief making a deal to keep Iran from enriching uranium? Actually, didn't we have a deal before our deal maker in chief so wisely pulled us from that deal? Why did this have to go balmy on Iran now?
And by next spring, at most by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage.
Iran is months away from having a nuclear bomb, says Netanyahu, in 2012. Seriously, why did we have to bomb Iran now?
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
Holy shit, that's why. Iran's only weeks away from having an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs, says Netanyahu. In 2015. 2015. Think about that. Back when we all thought, oh no, the Republicans might nominate that madman Jeb Bush. No, seriously, I'm not being facetious. I really want to know why we had to bomb Iran now.
We're going to show you Iran's secret nuclear files. Here's the warhead. Here's the bomb.
And that's from 2018. I don't know if Iran is any closer to having a bomb, but it is clear Israel now has the capacity to enrich their drawings. Of course, a hot war between Israel and Iran could threaten the United States. It's best we stay out of it.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying Israel took unilateral action against Iran and that the U.S. is not involved in strikes.
We're not involved. That's good. That's good.
The U.S. says it was informed beforehand.
Good neighbor policy. I mean, we were informed. They let us know. Still not being involved, really.
President Trump acknowledged yesterday that he was aware of the Israeli operation, and he gave it a green light.
They don't know what they're talking about. We were told, we approved. It's still Israel's game.
Israel used American equipment during its initial strikes against Iran.
What the f*** are we doing? All right, so we knew, and we approved, and we gave them all the shit to do it with.
Watch this now. This is United States involvement in regime change. Since the 19th century, the United States government has participated and interfered both overtly and covertly. Yeah, and this is another example of that in the replacement of many foreign governments, where it says, the script says, he keepeth his feet not at home. It says, in the latter half of the 19th century, the US government initiated actions of regime change, mainly in Latin America and the Southwest Pacific, including the Spanish-American and Philippine-American wars. At the onset of the 20th century, the United States shaped or installed governments in many countries around the world, including neighbors Hawaii, Panama, Nicaragua, Mexico, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. Now, I want to show you a list of how these people like to put their nose into other people's business. It says overthrowing other people's governments, the master list. Yeah, this says instances of the United States overthrowing or attempting to overthrow a foreign government since the Second World War. The one with stars indicates successful oust of a government. And the stars are at the end. So they've done Iran before. Yeah, that was in 1953. But China, Albania, East Germany, Iran, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Syria. The list is huge. I think there was 50 something, and they successfully done 30 odd on this list, if I'm not mistaken. Goes on. You got Iraq 2003, 2014, Ukraine. So now I was watching a lesson from brother Assad, yeah, and he played this clip here, which is quite interesting, showing you that there's various countries that they wanted to overthrow and take over for a number of years, and Iran was one of them. So I'm going to play this clip here.
This former United States general is about to say, this is almost 20 years ago he said this.
So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries.
So then he got a memo from the Secretary of Defense's office that details how the United States of America is getting ready to take out 7 countries
in 5 years, starting with Iraq and Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
Syria, starting with Iraq.
You see that? So this war that we're seeing with Iran isn't nothing new. We go on the list. Slovakia. Yeah, we go on the list. They successfully did Iran in 1953, and they're trying them again. Yeah, but that's part of their list. Going back 20 years back. Now, whilst all of this is going on, what are we doing? We're warning our people to get themselves right. Hold on. And this is the state that a lot of our people are in. Whilst we're telling them, look, the Lord's looking to judge this place, and if you don't get yourself right, you're going to get caught up in the judgment. This is what our people are currently doing. And this made me laugh when I saw this, because it's so true. Try and get this. Try and get this to play.
We have some big news right now. We have some terrible breaking news coming. We have some really big news tonight. We have another terrible breaking news up. We have some scary news. We have some big news right now. Donald Trump has officially revoked right now. We have some big news right now. We have some terrible breaking news coming. We have some really big news tonight. We have another terrible breaking news up. We have some scary news. We have some big news right now. Donald Trump has officially revoked.
I'm going to play this again, because it's so true. It says, the world falling apart, and this is what our people are doing.
We have some big news right now. We have some terrible breaking news coming. We have some really big news tonight. We have another terrible breaking news up. We have some scary news. We have some big news right now. Donald Trump has officially revoked right now. We have some big news right now. We have some terrible breaking news coming. We have some really big news tonight. We have another terrible breaking news up. We have some scary news. We have some big news right now. Donald Trump has officially revoked.
Yeah, so whilst the world is falling apart, our people are having a good time partying in that spirit of mirth. You know, but this is Psalms. Come on, Slovakia. We have the laugh. Yeah, so this is Psalms 50, be at peace with him. He has broken his covenant. And like, the guy said, the Albanian representative, they're breaking international laws. But that's nothing new. We look at the Native American Indians. They made numerous treaties with them and broke every single one of them when it was in their interest to do so. So it says he has put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He has broken his covenant. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Yeah, they've got the ability to create a nuclear weapon in months. Then they can do it within days, enrich the uranium, so on and so forth. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. Yeah, this is what the purpose of it is, to do another one of these coups, overthrow the government. It says his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And what did they say when did Trump say we were seeking government? To the so-called blacks and Hispanics, what have you got to lose? Yeah, so he's sucking you into voting for him. And now look, our people are getting deported left, right, and center. This is Sirach, chapter 12, and verse 16. It says, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to overthrow thee slacker into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. And if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee, which is what we're seeing. Trump is pretending that he wants the ceasefire, the war to end, but yet still you're provoking the situation by attacking this country. This is a sovereign country. This is Proverbs 21 and verse 1. It says, the king's heart, meaning the mind, is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whatsoever he will. And ultimately, we prophesy that the scriptures teach there will be a third world war. And for this to happen, the Lord has to put it in their mind to do the things that we're seeing. This is why we're telling our people, look, before it's too late, get yourself right, man. Jake wants to be dancing, doing the moonwalk, doing the candy, whilst the world is falling apart. Going back to this clip here again. Quickly play this. Jake is in the spirit.
We have some big news right now. We have some terrible breaking news coming. We have some really big news tonight. We have another terrible breaking news up. We have some scary news. We have some big news right now. Donald Trump has officially revoked. He's right now. We have some big news right now.
That's the spirit that Jake is in at the moment. Luke 21 and 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. And ain't we seen these things? And upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's heart failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and glory. And it's almost that time for Yahushua to return. We don't know the exact minute or hour, but we do know from the signs that we're seeing that time is not far off. It says, and when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. And this is what we have to bear in mind. These things must come to pass. The words of the Lord will not leave his mouth void. So therefore, these things must come to pass. But when we see these things, what it says, when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh, meaning we're out of here soon. And he spake to them a parable, behold the fig tree and all the trees, when they now shoot forth, ye see and know of your own selves that the summer is now nigh at hand. So likewise ye, when you see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of the Most High is nigh at hand. Yeah, we're almost out of it. Verily I say to you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. So we can guarantee that what the Lord said is going to happen is going to happen. That's if you have faith, and we have faith in that, because what we're seeing the signs. We've been given, been fortunate enough to be given the eye salve to be able to realize what's happening around us, and not being that spirit of mirth that Jake is in, with no care, no care for his own soul or salvation. Verse 34, Luke 21:34, and take heed to yourselves. And this is what we're saying. When you see these things happening, it says, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. And that's what's going to happen to 2/3 of our people. But they're going to be in this spirit.
Right now, we have some terrible breaking news coming. We have some really big news tonight, and we have another terrible breaking news up. We have some scary news. We have some big news right now. Donald Trump has officially
Yeah, they're going to be in that spirit until it's too late, just like Noah. It says, for as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. This is why we're telling our people, look, keep yourself faithed up and keep working on yourselves, man, until that time. This is 2 Peter 2. It's like 2 Peter 3 in verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. Why? Because people don't want to be on their watch. It says, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that they come upon you unawares. Yeah, like a thief in the night. 2 Peter 3:10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. So here's my point, the crux of everything. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? How are we meant to be acting? Seeing these signs coming to pass, are we meant to be like this, in the spirit of mirth? This cracks me up.
We have some big news right now. We have some terrible breaking news coming. We have some really big news tonight, and we have another terrible breaking news up. We have some scary news. We have some big news right now. Donald Trump has officially...
Is that how we're meant to be? Or how we meant to be trying to clean up our garments, man? So, yeah, don't let that day overtake you as a thief in the night, man. Yeah, don't let that day. Yeah, and I'm going to leave it there. Just keep on your watch. Yeah, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm going to close out. I'm going to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Wa'ar, Rakar, Kadash, Kwam Yasha Allah.